Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
Thank you for being here. This is actually recycling into one of the first things that we have started together with our good friend Kerry Anderson at Simplifying Senior Living. She was here helping us get this whole program going at Buena Vista Estates. So the idea, if you've been around Joe Steckler, our president and founder, any amount of time, big on making an aging plan, which is what are you going to do? Just like we have a hurricane plan, what are you going to do as things come your way? You don't want the hurricane, but you just want to be prepared. And that's Joe's point about an aging plan. And so Kerry kindly last year said, I'll help you guys get this program established. And so together with our friends at Buena Vista, they allowed us to come in and we covered everything, legal, financial. We talked about things that you need, paperwork, medical, stuff like that. And this is kind of like the very first step back. Now we're going to be doing these fourth Thursday right here at the Joe Senior Resource Center. So Kerry.
Wow. So I'm super excited to be here and super called out to remember a year ago. So thank you, Kerry, for that. So last year, really the program built on what Helping Seniors had already started the year before. It was getting your ducks in a row and built on the premise that everybody needs an aging plan, as Kerry mentioned, and building the program with speakers who, in a nice order and with handouts and with wonderful information, help the seniors who attended the program kindly put together an aging plan and have resources that they could call to check in and see what more they needed to do. Having an aging plan is incredibly important. I totally buy into it. I totally encourage it. Preach it all the time. So I'm glad that the program has restarted here at Joe's Senior Resource Center up Brevard, and I'm very happy to be here at Kerry. So thank you for the invitation. And hi.
Yes, thank you. She brought so many good speakers. We had some great talks about transportation. We had like all the elements of an aging plan. It's so important. We jokingly call it getting your ducks in a row to try to make it feel a little bit less intimidating, but nevertheless, it's very, very important. And there's two things that we've learned along the way. We call them corollaries to getting your ducks in a row, and they all deal with barnyard animals somehow. So the first thing we say is be wise like an owl. Don't try this on your own, because what you're going to find out when you talk to people like Kerry or Reese or our friends, Vicki back there, Vicki Moore from Moore Insurance, or Dorinda from Brevard Alzheimer's, or from Laura Peery, who you're going to hear a lot from in a few minutes. You're talking to people who really know their stuff. So you don't have to try to ferret this out like on a Google search or something like that. You can really get good information from people who are local, boots on the ground, so they know what's going on here in Brevard County. And that's really important too, because as you know, particularly with a lot of the aging stuff, there is a big difference state to state. It's not all uniform. And so you need to know what is the story here in Florida. We are all about helping you get your ducks in the row. And that's why I'm so excited to introduce Laura Peery. She was a guest with us on the radio just like last few weeks back with Bill Johnson. Bill Johnson is a board certified elder law attorney. I said, let's talk about long-term care insurance, because Joe, from the day I met him, has talked about the importance of long-term care insurance, but he was also convinced at that time that you couldn't really get long-term care insurance the way he could back in the day. And Laura said that's not actually the case, because that's her specialty. In fact, she's Dave Ramsey. Everybody know the name Dave Ramsey. She's Dave Ramsey Trusted, and that's a very special level. So she gets calls from people all over the country asking for expertise on long-term care insurance. And yet we're fortunate that she's right here in Melbourne with us. And so that's what she's going to talk about today. But what I wanted to say is, so we're talking before we get on the air. And so I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, I need to learn a lot about this myself. So they're trying to break it down and make it like bite-sized crumbs so I can follow. But those two get like, they're like up here because they just know all this stuff cold. So this goes back to my point. You want to get your information from somebody that really knows the insides out, this specialist. Like, why does your doctor send you to a specialist sometimes? They want somebody who really understands the mechanics of it. That's what this is all about. So without further ado, Laura Peery.
This is my first time here, so thank you so much for inviting me, Kerry. My name is Laura Peery with the Peery Agency. I am endorsed by Dave Ramsey as a national long-term care plan specialist, and that means I have people from all over the country asking for my help. So in addition to long-term care, I help people with Medicare. The reason that helps me with long-term care is I want to understand from year to year what Medicare will not pay for. So that's part of our conversation. Many people think that Medicare is going to cover long-term care, and in fact, it does not. I have a 5-star review with Dave Ramsey with his fans. My goal is to help people, as we say here, have a plan. If we review your options and you've decided you're going to self-fund the risk, then you've got a plan. Most people want to have a policy that's going to take the bite out of the cost of care. What we know today is the cost of care for, I think, a nursing home is about $10,000 a month. Home care could be, give or take more. It's just 24/7. Assisted living, as we know, has a base plan and then the add-ons on a menu. So that's what we're trying to do, is mitigate the cost of long-term care. Most people want to stay home. I don't know, is there anyone here who's rushing to a nursing home? No. But the truth is that if we have a policy that's going to pay for our care at home, we're less likely to have to need facility care. We've got somebody helping us managing medication, managing fall risk, and managing nutrition, managing hygiene, all of those things that we just don't think about. That is part of the aging process. Only 8 out of 10 people actually have to go to a facility. What is long-term care or extended care? The new word in the industry is trending toward extended care. And that's because there are different types of policies. And that's part of what I do, is help people understand what they're eligible to apply for, what their budget is, and what their goals are. You all know, probably most people in the room, the way that you activate a long-term care plan is that you need assistance with 2 of 6 activities of daily living, not all 6. And this is what the activities of daily living are: eating, bathing, dressing, toileting, transferring, and incontinence. So the question, when I meet with people, what is your plan? Some people have already told me they've already switched their house from a 3-story townhouse to a ranch. Some people have told me they've already got the doors widened for wheelchairs. Other people they haven't even thought about this. And so the truth of the matter is, we're not going to be younger today, tomorrow. No, we're not today. We need to really figure out what the plan is. And the plan can change, but the point is, and as Kerry says so well, let's think about what the plan is. What are we protecting? Are we just protecting our money? We want to have leverage on our dollars. We want to spend $1 to get 10. Are we protecting our family? Do our kids work full time and have kids of their own? Do they live in a different state? Can they drop everything and help us 24/7 if we need that? So a lot of people, that's what they say: I'm protecting my kids. Other people say, when I meet with couples, we're protecting each other. I can't lift him. He can't lift her. Men generally say, I think I'll probably die before she does. She'll probably be the one that takes care of me, and I want to make sure she's covered. So those are some of the conversations that I have. The question is not do I have a policy, but do I have a plan? Some people tell me that they've decided that their kids are going to take care of them. I don't know if they've consulted with their kids or not, but I've had people tell me that before. And then the question is, what am I eligible to apply for? There are different types of policies. I pretty much can help anyone who doesn't already reside in a facility. And there's a wide range of underwriting classifications. So my job is I'm a field underwriter interviewer, and I can determine what policies we can apply for. The goals, we usually want to stay home and have independence. We want to decide ourselves who's going to take care of us, when and where. We don't want to outlive our money. More people are afraid of running out of money than they are of dying. And we want to have some money left to pass on to our loved ones, and we want to relieve the burdens to our loved ones. There are different types of facilities and settings. Home care, assisted living, skilled nursing, and adult daycare is also one. There are different scenarios that would dictate if we go in one of those facilities, but we want a policy that's going to be as comprehensive as possible to help mitigate the cost. If the cost today is 10, the cost in 20 years is probably going to be more like 20, maybe 25, depending on what facility that was in. The other thing that you may or may not know is that I'm told that the government's not billing any more assisted living for Medicare or Medicaid, I'm sorry. And so there again, as the seniors age, and you said this to me when we first met this morning, there's so many of us aging into this space where we're going to get care if there's long facilities. So really the goal is for home care. Some of the other benefits that come with policies include care coordination. That's a big deal for people, especially if their family lives out of state. Bed reservation is a big one. I learned this from a client. She said, my mom had a stroke. She was in skilled nursing. While she was in skilled nursing, she had another stroke. She went to the hospital. When she was in the hospital, she was told, if you don't give us $400 a day, we're gonna have to move your mom's stuff out, and we have a waiting list. So bed reservation is one of the benefits on the policy. That's really helpful. Caregiver training is helpful if you have family that want to participate in the care. And a lot of families want to participate. They just can't handle the burden of full-time care. And then we want to look at homemaker services. I was sick a couple months ago, and I was like, who's going to change my sheets? Oh, that would be me. Right? We don't think about those simple things of the activities of daily living that come with custodial care, like going to the store, driving to the doctor, those kinds of things. When we talk about getting your ducks in a row, we think about aging in the future, but the truth is that we may have an illness or an accident where we need care sooner. And that's what we need to look at is what's gonna step in whenever I need care, not just when I'm 80, 85. The elephant in the room is that 70% of people over the age of 65 are gonna need some type of assistance with activities of daily living. And one of the biggest risks to our portfolio, believe it or not, is longevity. I bet you've never heard longevity as a risk before, but we're living longer because of technology and pharmaceuticals, but maybe not necessarily living better. And so that's part of what we have to plan for. Right? That's one of the interview questions I have when I talk to people. How long did your parents live? How long did your grandparents live? If they're talking about family members living into their 90s, we take a look at a policy that's going to pay a lifetime benefit. As opposed to a 3 or 4 year benefit, we can design it however you want to. But the bottom line is there may be some self-funding responsibility in the process because if your policy is going to pay $10,000 a month and the cost of care is $12,000, you only have to come up with $2,000, right? But there's still some self-funding part of the conversation in that calculation. The 4 major risks. There's a 1 in 1,200 chance that your house is going to catch on fire, right? But we're not going to cancel our homeowner's insurance. There's a 5 in 1,200 chance that our car is going to get totaled, but we have to keep our car insurance. There's a 105 in 1,200 chance that you're going to be in the hospital. We got to keep our health insurance, but where health insurance stops, long-term care picks up, and there's a 840 in 1,200 chance that we're going to need some kind of assistance with activities of daily living. That's pretty startling. And as many people know, Medicare will pay for skilled nursing if you've been overnight, 3 consecutive nights, admitted, not an observation. Now, people can think that they are admitted because they have a gown on and they're in a room, but if they haven't been properly coded, they could miss out on having Medicare pay for that first 100 days. The cost of care, I have different actuary tools, and when I meet with couples or individuals, I put their age and their location and the current cost of care, and we get an idea about how much they're going to need together to fund the risk. And if they say I've got $1.2 million in their bank account, great. If they say I've got $1.2 million in my 401k, not so great because they haven't paid taxes on it yet, right? And their 401k, if it's in the market, they could lose it. So we want to make sure that we're looking at all the resources available for long-term care. And we don't have to fully protect the risk if people have assets, but we want to protect the big part of it. Cost of care for home care, you all can probably speak to this better than me, but what I understand is the cost went from $25 an hour pre-COVID to $50 an hour after COVID. Assisted living, I know there's one in Merritt Island that's, it was a nursing home that's $300 a day. And assisted living, we talked about what that is, but the future cost on my calculators is in 20 years, it's going to be about $208,000 a year. So the 3 ways that we protect the risk is we write the check ourselves when the time comes. We transfer the risk to Medicaid, which means you're spending down all your assets, and you can keep about $2,000 of your assets, and I think it's $60 of income, or you can transfer the risk to a long-term care policy. So these are the things on the right-hand side that you have to spend down before you are eligible to qualify for Medicaid. As Kerry mentioned, I joined Bill Johnson a couple of weeks ago, and he said that even if you do qualify for Medicaid, you have to already be in a facility to get it. And there's a waiting list. So even if you have spent down all your resources, you might have to wait for 9 months. So that's kind of startling. We talked about our money being in the market at risk. The great news is, like I said, we have something for everyone. We have, starting with a home care service plan. This is for somebody who maybe has some underwriting challenges. It's a policy that I can help people with that will bring home care to their facility, completely vetted by local home care providers. The insurance has been paid, the liability is covered, the workers' comp is paid, and you can have care at home to whatever extent you've designed the service plan to be. There are traditional comprehensive policies, and usually we look at a benefit amount per month and a benefit pool. So let's just say $10,000 a month with a $500,000 benefit pool. We can design that policy so that you can share the benefits with your spouse. So if your spouse dies and you have a joint shared policy, you still have the entire benefit available to you to use. We have short-term and extended care policies. Manhattan Life and Aetna have these policies, and they pay cash. They pay cash to you. They don't coordinate benefits, which is great. They're easy to get through underwriting. I have an Aetna indemnity plan that'll pay 100 days of skilled nursing, $500 a day, and it's like $20. So it's kind of a sneaky way to protect this risk. I don't think when they designed it, they were intending for the skilled nursing to be such a rich benefit. But I'm like, well, we're going to add that. And then we have annuities. We have annuities that you can leverage your dollars for the purpose of long-term care. It makes the cost of long-term care very inexpensive, like $1,200 a year, depending on how much you put in. You put in $100,000, and you can have $300,000 for long-term care if you need it. Steal your money if you don't. So it's a nice way to do it. We talked about lifetime benefit. We can design a policy that has a lifetime unlimited benefit. We can design a policy where some of it's paid in cash. So you have the cash to hire Uber, you have the cash to buy the Depends, you have the cash to buy the extra things that go with the need for aging. And then we talk about when I deliver a policy, I remind people we've got a policy that's going to pay this much, and if its cost is more, you're going to self-fund that. And people get that. 66% of people claims are for home care. Only 4% are for facility care. The average number of years a man is on claim is 2.5 years. The average time a woman is on claim is 4.3 years. My dad was in a facility for 1 month and he died. So if you divide that statistic, my mother-in-law was in memory care for 9 years. Her body was strong, her mind wasn't, and that would cost us more than $1 million. She did not have a policy. But the point is that 8 out of 10 people who start at home stay at home. Men and women are different. Did you know that, Graham? Again, men think this is never going to happen to me. And if it does, I'm just going to go hunting and shoot myself. I just laugh because I tell people that. They're like, oh, yeah. Me too. Yeah. And then women, they're pretty, we know we're spaghetti. Men are waffles. They're very linear. They don't think about two things at one time. They think about one thing at one time. The women we are spaghetti. We think about everything all at once all the time. We are generally the caregivers. We're caring for our kids. We're caring for our parents. We're caring for our spouses. We generally statistically live longer than our husbands. And we know that at some point we're going to need care for ourselves. The idea of impoverished spouse. This is the idea that I'm going to self-fund this risk. The first person gets sick. The first person spends all the money. The first person dies. The second spouse is left with no spouse, no money, and no policy. That's a worst case scenario. The number one reason for people to be on claim is for dementia. The next reason is for neurological issues, advanced arthritis, and cardiac health. 64% of claims are for women. That's because we live longer. Long-term care insurance is more expensive for women because we live longer. Life insurance is more expensive for men because women live longer. Now, if you have a life insurance policy, make sure you have a policy review, because there are policies that pay what's called an accelerated death benefit. That means you can get the money without dying. And some people think about that as part of their long-term care portfolio. I know somebody who had a terminal cancer illness. He had $1 million policy. He took out $900,000. He recovered from cancer, so he got a $900,000 tax-free benefit. So that's one of the ways that we can put together a less expensive long-term care policy and have the life insurance there. If you die, you get it. If you need it for care, you can. I'm all about saving money. Being endorsed by Dave Ramsey, he's all about being efficient with our dollars. And so that's my goal, is to find the most benefit for the least amount of money. Another Ramsey slide, baby steps. He talks about baby steps. The decisions that we make today are going to have consequences in the future. Now, this is really about health, but these people are all the same age. They've just made different decisions. And as we age into the space of needing care, do you think it's the people that have planned and have an aging plan are going to be better off, or the people that didn't? People that had their head in the sand, right? The earlier, the better. The healthier, the better rates. Everything starts and stops with underwriting. I work with multiple different companies. Mutual Omaha, have you heard of them? Thrivent, Aetna, Manhattan Life, all of those different companies have solutions that we can either use a single solution or put together a bundle of solutions so that you've got the big part of the risk covered. Taking care of aging parents. I don't know if anybody else is on this Facebook page. Don't go there. It's very depressing. It's where people are basically vetting about how difficult their challenges are by taking care of their aging parents. This one lady says, I've got to quit my job to take care of mom. How am I going to get health insurance? The other lady says, this is the hardest thing I've ever done, and I'm not even at the hard part yet. So we just don't know what we don't know. When I work with people, my goal is to provide information. Again, if you walk away deciding that you've decided to self-fund the risk, I've done my job. If you decide you want me to help you apply for a policy, we'll do that. We'll do what you want. But this is an example of how detailed I get, because I want to give you as much information as possible to make an educated decision. I show you all the policies that you're eligible to apply for, what they cost, what the benefits are, how they pay. For example, Mutual Omaha will let you buy more insurance if you have a 1% inflation rider without underwriting. That's a big deal. Nationwide will pay all the benefits in cash. So if your wife takes care of you, you can stash the cash and invest it. Different policies have different thresholds. Nationwide also has a death benefit. One America has a joint policy. Show people on the policy, and you can there's a death benefit if you don't use a policy. So your premiums are eligible to be deducted off your taxes. I am not a CPA, but I tell people to make sure you give your receipt to your accountants, because you could have a tax advantage. And I don't know if you know this, but there's a trend going around the country. In 2021, I worked mostly in the state of Washington, and that's because they said if you all don't get your own long-term care policy, you have to pay a special tax. It's 6%. That trend is coming across the country because the governments are starting to say, we have to balance our budget, and we cannot balance our budget if you all rely on us for your care. Again, we've got a silver tsunami coming into the space. So people that were 20 years old were getting policies in Washington. They were so busy that carriers stopped accepting applications. So it's real. This is my friend Anna. Anna and her husband Alan, when they were 50, they got their long-term care policy. They were teachers. They didn't have kids. In this picture, Anna is 74. Alan passed away a couple years ago. She took the auto train from New Jersey to Florida to go sport fishing and hog hunting. Tyler is on the right. Tyler is her home health aide. Tyler gets paid $450 a day to travel with her on the auto train, to cook for her, to help her fish, to help her navigate, to get into the boat. So we say that this is not nursing home insurance. This is nursing home avoidance, right? This is about having a quality of life, even if you need assistance with activities of daily living. So the question that we ask is, does having a plan make sense? Well, of course, we have to have something, between now, today, I'm 62, I'll be 63 next week. And when I die, My granddaughter told me yesterday it's going to be 95. What's my plan? What is my plan? What is your plan? What is your plan for the aging? And then does a policy make sense? Do I at least look into if I can apply, if I can get covered with policy? The people that I help, they're beyond relief. The people that call me are begging for a policy because they've seen their parents go through some very difficult things. So they're begging me to help them, which is a great place for me to be. But they feel like now that they've got this risk covered, they can enjoy the rest of their money. They don't have to save the rest of their money for this risk because it's now protected. And of course, they refer their friends or family to me. So the biggest mistake that we make is thinking that we have time. And we don't. Long-term care, again, the most important insurance I ever got. And that's my information. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, like I said, my number one goal is to educate, to help people understand what their risks are. A lot of people come to me as a caregiver. There are 53 million unpaid caregivers in the country, and so that's how I help people. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
It's the Helping Seniors Education Series at Joe's Senior Resource Center of Brevard. Plan your fourth Thursday morning each month and join us for the series 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Joe's, 1344 South Apollo Boulevard, second floor of the Apollo Professional Tower Omni Healthcare Building, on the medical campus near the hospital in downtown Melbourne. Knowledge College for Aging at 10 a.m. to help you develop your aging plan, and the Helping Seniors Wellness Series at 11 a.m. Find details at helpingseniorsofbrevard.org or call us at 321-473-7770, and we'll see you at the Helping Seniors 4th Thursday Education Series.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses, and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.